it's important for you to be able to find, and I talk about flying airplanes, but you need to find something that you enjoy doing for life. It can't be about money. It's got to be something that you have a passion for. And the other is that understand that there's going to be challenges as you go through the process of figuring out where you want to be in your life. And you have to figure out, how do I deal with those challenges? You know, I talk about myself in dealing with challenges and going that there's always a way around, a way over to get there, but you have to figure out how you want to deal with that challenge. And look for a mentor. Don't beg anybody to be your mentor, but look for somebody that even if you're not talking with them, that you can pattern yourself after and allow that to help you, guide you in terms of how you look at your future.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
The journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is the journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
The Journey Memphis is being generously supported by Nike's Black Community Commitment and Methodist Labanner Healthcare. Welcome back to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and once again, we have an amazing one. A brother who flies high in the sky. But first, before we get to him, let's go with our quote. Hold fast to your dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. That came from the great black poet, Langston Hughes. So today, I know for a fact that this gentleman can help you decipher that poem because he's in aviation. But he's out of Columbus, Mississippi, father, great friend, educator, and he's a creator. So listen, without further ado, we have brother, Captain Albert Glenn. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good
to see you again.
Good seeing you. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me about your early days in Columbus, Georgia.
Well, actually, it's Columbus, Mississippi.
Columbus, Mississippi.
No, I don't want my folks down
right.
there not to miss that opportunity. It says, normally don't have a lot of good. You know what? I'm a military brat.
Oh.
So I never grew up in Mississippi. It's just the place that we visit, but I claim it as home because it is. That's where my parents are from. My dad was in air defense in the Army. And so I grew up around Air Force bases, and I grew up around somebody who enjoyed aviation, but he enjoyed it from building and working on surface-to-air missiles.
Wow. So you moved around several communities.
Yes.
Give us a few.
France, Germany,
What part
Alaska, Bordeaux.
Okay.
And then Germany. My dad was there in Mannheim.
Okay.
And then all over the U.S. So from El Paso all through California, New York.
Any favorite?
Minnesota. Probably Minnesota.
Okay. Now why Minnesota?
I like the outdoors.
Okay.
So I was one of those who loved fishing and loved hunting.
Okay. So tell us, who outside of that immediate family had the biggest impact on a young Albert Glenn?
There's probably a few. Growing up around Air Force bases and growing up at that military environment, there were those I saw that were in the military. That, played a part in seeing them and reading the history about the Tuskegee Airmen. But the ones who came the closest that I had more contact with outside of my father, which, he provided probably the foundation for a lot, was meeting Captain Carol Waters, who was the first African-American pilot at FedEx.
Okay.
And seeing him as coming out of high school, getting my first job, and meeting a guy that looked like he was bigger than life. I mean, he looked the role. I mean, he looked the professional pilot, and then having him become a mentor for me and giving me directions on where to go. And as a child growing up, seeing names like General Chappie James and just reading the stories about that, I thought he was bigger than life too. Flying fighters during the Vietnam War. And the fact that he was probably the first black general that I ever met.
Really? Wow. So, young Albert, what did you dream? What did young Albert Glenn dream that he was going to be?
When I, as a child, I dreamed of being a pilot.
Really?
as I got older, I dreamed about making a difference.
Okay.
And I say that in that by the time I was a 60s
Right.
child.
Right.
And so I saw the challenges that existed within our community.
Right.
And airplanes became more of a hobby in my mind and something that I cared about. And so my goal was to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And to try to make a difference. And I had that opportunity to go to the University of Memphis and finishing there. But in my senior year, I decided after doing some internships that my heart really wasn't in that.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity of working in Congressman Harold Ford Sr.'s office for a period of time. And I told him about that. I said, I'm thinking I need to be a pilot. And he said, well, you need to follow your dream. Wow. And so at that point, I made a decision to start my pilot training. And being that I was working at FedEx, the original flight school, I came over from Little Rock, I got a chance to start within that flight school and learn how to fly.
So how old were you when you decided to go to flight school?
22.
Okay. So, man, you just...
My senior year in college.
Oh, wow. Wow. So has there been anything that you regretted or things that you would have done over again if you could have, done it all?
I've thought about that a number of times. There's different ways. I think I had a real desire to be in the military. Okay. But because of the time when I graduated, I tried to get in the military. Okay. But it was 1976, so it was the end of the Vietnam War approaching, and they were putting people out of the military rather than taking people in. Right. And so that opportunity to present themselves. And so locally, I looked at it and didn't see the opportunity there either because there was still a lot of racism that was going on. I'm sure. So, that led me to do it myself. And it turned out that was the best way.
Where did it come from, the whole idea around making a difference? Was that something you saw from your parents or?
I think it was a combination of my parents. It was a combination of what I was seeing.
Okay.
I saw the struggles around the country because being able to travel around the U.S. and see different things, it was pretty obvious that there was a struggle going on about voting. There was just a struggle about being black. I have to admit, being on a military base, I didn't see what it was like to see segregated bathrooms. Right. At that, it was somewhat confusing when you come from an environment where it's the men and the women's, and then you come to a place and you see colored, and you're going like, what does that mean exactly? Right. And I think that gave me some thoughts about, there's got to be more. And then you watch enough TV, as a child that came along during that time, that you're going like, Martin Luther King and those that were fighting for the rights, it was going to take, as they say, a village to do it. Right. And I saw a lot of those who, became names that I knew and wanted to be part of that.
Wow. Okay. When did you know you were going to be okay? When did you know that you like this thing called life? I got that. I can do this.
I think the day that I got the phone call that I was going to be a pilot for FedEx.
Wow.
It was still up in the air up to that point. It wasn't for sure that was actually going to happen. Okay. And when that day happened, it opened up a host of other doors that went along with it. Okay. But that's when I knew that the opportunity presented itself. And as my dad said, you have the opportunity. It's up to you now to take advantage of it.
Right. What's your why? What makes you get up every day?
I enjoy what I'm doing. When I made that decision that I wanted to fly airplanes, it was something that I had a passion for. Okay. And what I found out later is that the combination of that passion to want to fly airplanes and the passion to want to give back to my community, it was the perfect mix. It turned out that I could do what I enjoy doing. Right. And then the ability to be able to give back to the community and make a difference, to what I enjoy doing, that was something that, financially was good, so I could give back that way. Right. And then the other is to help those who had the same interest, knowing that it could be generational wealth differences for those who got into it. Right.
Was there a time that you can go back to that you realized at a certain moment that, hey, I'm a black man? Hold on for a second. Listen, we're going to be right back on the journey. And Captain Albert Glenn is going to share with us when he realized he was a brother. Stay right there. We'll be right back on the journey.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
Success in life is not a straight line. There are twists and turns in everyone's life, and the more you know about their story, the more you'll understand the process. Kazuki Media Group proudly presents The Journey, a show that features successful black men in Memphis telling their stories of their lives and the ups and downs they've encountered on their ultimate road to success. We believe The Journey will encourage young men and help them see that life is a journey. Watch The Journey, hosted by me, Larry Robinson. Brought to you by the Kazuki Media Group in partnership with the Delta Boulay. Welcome back to The Journey. Listen, I knew this is someone that you would really enjoy hearing their story, hearing their journey. Man that is flying all over the world for FedEx and other airlines. Now listen, he's going to share with us when he realized that he was a brother. Captain?
Well, this journey for me, excuse me, I knew this early.
Really?
Yeah, I knew it.
Was there a specific incident?
The day I decided that I wanted to be a pilot,
Wow.
the day I decided I wanted to do that,
Mm-hmm.
the first 3 phone calls I made to those who were instructors, because they could not tell my voice reflection that I was black until they saw me, and then they did not want to be my instructor. Each one had 3. And the 4th one I came to said, I don't care, I teach all kind of pilots. He tells the story better than I do. Reggie Boring was interesting in that he was an Air Force instructor, civilian instructor, so he taught pilots from all over the world that came to the U.S. for flight training in the military. And it took him, really, because as much as I love my city, Memphis, there is some challenges here when it comes to just some racial prejudice that exists. And a lot of them didn't feel like, black man doesn't need to be flying an aircraft. And you would think in the 70s that wouldn't be the case.
Right.
But it still was going on. And even after I got hired on as a pilot at FedEx, and I'll tell you this, that it came from the top. If it hadn't come from the top at FedEx that the opportunities will be presented,
right,
then it might be a whole different story about my life, which tells you a little bit about that. Even with these struggles, you still got to have somebody in your corner that you can work with, that supports you and believes in what you're doing.
Please say that one more time, because that's really important.
You got to have somebody in your corner that believes in you and support the work that you're doing. And that's that's all I can say, and that continues to the day.
What made you, being that you were turned down by all the 3 previous flight instructors, what made you have the gumption to, I'm going to ask the 4th one?
I think it all stems from my family. I think it was explained to me many times over again, and it can be a little bit challenging, I think, especially for black males.
Right.
To understand, to be turned down, to have to go back and keep going and trying to realize your dream, that there are some that they're blocking for the wrong reasons, but you still got to find a way around it. And I think my parents helped me find the necessary discipline and understanding that it's okay that you get turned down, that you just need to keep pushing forward if this is something you want to do, and having them support, because you got to have somebody you got to go back to that can say it's going to be okay, just keep doing what you're doing, because if you're out there all by yourself, it can be discouraging.
What's the best day you ever had as a pilot?
Well, I had so many.
Okay, well, give us one.
I've had so many beautiful days flying around the world to where I've gone into places, and some places have just, it's that perfect moment. And I always think about going in the early morning into Kuala Lumpur, and the sun's coming up, it's everything. The air is clear. It's beautiful. Everything is green, and you sit there going like, wow, what a blessing to be able to see this. And I haven't forgot it.
Right.
And I always remember that as being one of those flights where I'm going like, wow, God made all of this.
Beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Going back, early on, and I know you moved around a little bit. What was the family structure like? Any siblings?
Yes, I have 4 sisters.
Oh my
so
goodness.
we all got to travel to see the world together.
Okay.
So it was my mom was very open to travel, and so we spent a lot of time. So we got to taste food from all over. We got to learn an awful lot. There's not a whole lot I won't eat.
Wow.
But
so being that you got to see so many places as a young person, what was that place that had the biggest impact on you?
Probably living in Minnesota. And the reason why is that I had to learn to live in a different culture that was different than saying going out of the country, but a culture that, I was the only black male probably within about a 50-mile range around this where we lived.
Wow.
And it helped. And I had, my family has a history of having we have one of the first industrial psychologists in our family. And one of the things that he pushed a lot was understanding diversity, understanding where you are in the environment that you're in, and understanding those around and how to deal with that. And so having that being communicated from my parents to me, having it reinforced whenever he would talk to us in family gatherings, helped me to understand how to live in an environment that it sometimes isn't for you.
When you being the only person in many ways, it can have a deleterious effect or it can have an enriching effect. Which would you say it had for Albert Glenn?
I think it probably had an enriching effect on me. It didn't, because I was able to learn from it. And it probably helped my being able to learn how to fly.
Okay.
Finding out, because 3-1 teach,
Right.
it's okay, I understand what your challenge is. It's
Right.
not my challenge, I can work around you. And then finding somebody and not stopping to realize any kind of task that I wanted to do, that there was a way of working it.
Now you got a family.
Yes.
And what, three kids?
I have 3 boys.
3 boys. Oh, just like me. I have 3 boys. When you think about them, is there anything that you would do differently?
I think there's always things you can do differently.
Of course.
But I don't know if there is. I think the approach I took, letting each one decide what they want to be and what they want to do, allowed them that freedom to choose for themselves. I have 3 young men that, when I look at them, all 3 of them are me. I got one that does community work. He don't have anything to do with airplanes. I have 2 that like airplanes, and they like different parts of it.
Okay.
And so, one is, like I said, is working as the director of communications for a commissioner in Houston. I have one that's a pilot at FedEx, and another one that's flying UAS drones for a defense contractor.
So he's the cat that's flying the drones over to the other countries and whatnot.
He's the one that's training others to do it too.
Okay.
And developing those.
We need him back in Memphis to train some folks.
Actually, he's supposed to be doing that. He's actually supposed to be here today, but they got a special assignment that he's tied to. He had to get back to do some more work on it.
Well, we can't wait for him to come back, that's for sure. When you look at your life and you think about all that you've experienced, what would you tell a young man that is trying to figure it out? He's sitting at home, he has these big dreams and wants to be many things. How would you, being that you've seen so much, done so much, what would you share with a younger person?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's challenging to realize your dream. And I'm one of those that was able to realize my dream, but it didn't come overnight. It wasn't one day I woke up when I was 6 years old and this is what I'm going to do. It took a while. It took a lot of experiences to get there. And I would tell anybody that take your time and think about what it is you like to do in your life, and then develop a plan on how you want to get there and do it. It took a moment for me. I realized that I did want to make a difference in my community. but it took a moment to figure out how is that going to work? What am I going to be doing?
Right.
And sometimes it was a little hard till I find out that, you know, flying airplanes would afford me that ability to be able to do that.
Okay. What is Memphis? What has Memphis instilled in Captain Albert Glenn?
You know, when I came to Memphis, I found a home.
Okay.
And
What
and
made
so
it home?
I think it was the first opportunity to be in a place and call it, look at it as a possibility of being home.
Okay.
And not moving,
Okay.
not thinking about where's my next stop going to be? Am I going to be leaving in 4 years? Where would I like to be? And I think over the years of traveling through Memphis, I was always impressed by what I saw in Memphis. I know we have some challenges and perceptions, but my perception from the 60s and the 70s is completely different than what some of the perceptions are now. But it made a difference, and I looked at it, and I've raised my children here, and so it looks, to me, I haven't left, and I feel like I'm part of the fabric of the city.
I would say you definitely are. Greatest successes, I mean, out of all the things you've accomplished, what would you point to and say, that's something that I did and I'm proud of it?
I think it's assisting as many as I can in this industry, trying to get them the opportunities and being involved with so many. That's probably the big, I can think of a lot of things personally, but I think making a difference in the lives of those who are interested in this industry or just working with especially with young men on helping them and guiding them into opportunities that they might not have known about.
Now, you had challenges in getting into flight school. You're now got probably one of the bigger flight schools in this area of the country. How does it make you feel being able to see all these young people that are coming through your flight school without the challenges that you did? Is there any special feeling you get from that experience?
No, it really is, because I know what the challenge was for myself.
Right.
And it took an awful lot to help me get to where I was. And I want to make that path easier for those if they have that desire. And to show them, you know, I don't want to beat anybody down saying this is what I had to go through. You don't have to do this.
Right.
But I want to make that path easier because it's different. You know, right now it's about, can you afford to do it?
Right.
You know, before for me it was not only could you afford to do it, but can you find somebody that was willing to teach you?
Right.
And so the other is that the school I'm working with, the Lieutenant Colonel Luke Weathers Flight Academy,
Right.
is keeping that legacy going because those that came before me had an even tougher road.
I'm sure.
And so providing that opportunity, instilling the desire and the dedication that's needed to get through it, because even with all the support we provide, it takes an awful lot to become a professional pilot. It's not you just show up for school and you get signed off and you go. It requires a great deal of discipline and dedication to get through it.
How many hours does it take to become a pilot? I mean, how much hands-on, classroom, all that time in the air? What type of investment does it take?
It's to start from zero,
Okay.
becoming the day you start and says, I want to be a professional pilot, which in the end means you're going to be a certified flight instructor.
Right.
It takes about a year.
Okay. Is that?
And that's working every day, every week on different parts of your training.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the military. You have breaks in there, but you're really totally immersed in all the training that goes along with it. So by the time you finish, you'll have 270, 280 hours that first year.
Right. Has there ever been a time that you've had a scare and you said, okay, what the heck am I doing?
You know, I think there's been some times that I wouldn't say I've had asked myself, what am I doing? There's been some times that I could do better than this. But you know, I think and that's what we try to train, instill in the students.
Right.
We have what we call our Panther Project, is how to get a 300-hour pilot 1,000 hours experience. And so we're feeding it as much as we can so when they leave, they are prepared for the industry. They're not only prepared for for what a challenge would be for being either a black female or a black male. They are prepared to deal with that along with the challenges of having to learn new things on a continual basis.
So you're actually teaching that the industry is not necessarily as receptive to you as it would be to everyone else, and you have to have a certain, I guess, confidence
Yes.
to be able to navigate. So that's a part of the curriculum.
Yes.
With Luke Weathers?
Yes.
Wow.
We're mentoring everybody that's there. So we sit down and we talk and we work through their strategies, we work through their challenges, and we try to give them enough tools that when they leave, they're prepared for the industry.
Can you see the ones that you know are going to be able to do it from early on? Is there certain attributes that a person should or could or has developed when they arrive on the scene?
Yes.
Okay. What are some?
And
of
it
them?
normally follows what you normally see in any kind of educational system.
Right.
Those that are dedicated to learning
Mm-hmm.
and have that teachable spirit.
Okay.
Those are the things teaching hand-eye coordination and those things, we have tools and things for that.
Okay.
But having the discipline to be in a program where you're going to be studying for a year.
Right.
And that studying doesn't end. When you get the job, they're going to have you study some more. And that's going to be every year. You're staying up to understanding your craft on a yearly basis.
Fantastic. Wow. All right. This is the last question. Many young boys, young ladies are looking at you right now. They're looking at you, and I want you to leave them with a Captain Albert Glennism as to what life could be and how to get there.
From a flying standpoint, and I'll say the
Now,
captain side because they
hold
hear
on
me.
for a quick second. I want you to say it right there. I want you to talk to them because they need to know from the captain.
It's important for you to be able to find, and I talk about flying airplanes, but you need to find something that you enjoy doing for life. It can't be about money. It's got to be something that you have a passion for. And the other is that understand that there's going to be challenges as you go through the process of figuring out where you want to be in your life. And you have to figure out, how do I deal with those challenges? I talk about myself in dealing with challenges and going that there's always a way around, a way over to get there, but you have to figure out how you want to deal with that challenge. And look for a mentor. Don't beg anybody to be your mentor, but look for somebody that even if you're not talking with them, that you can pattern yourself after and allow that to help you, guide you in terms of how you look at your future. And then the other is professionalism. It's important. Think about how you want to be perceived. Think about how your branding is going to be for you. And enjoy the journey.
Wow. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Once again, that imagination, dream big, because you can do anything you want and put your mind to. So listen, I'm Larry Robinson. For our guest, Brother Albert Glenn.
All right. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you so much. And thank you for continuing to watch The Journey. I'm telling you, we're going to keep bringing them. We're going to keep bringing these amazing men of Memphis. As long as you come, we're going to have them. So till next time, thank you very much for watching The Journey on the Kazukian Network. Thank you to our partners at Nike's Black Community Commitment and Methodist Labanner Healthcare. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the Kazukian app from the App Store or Google Play, or check out the Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the Kazukian Network.